probably an outlier.
The number I'm focusing on, and I want to ask you to focus on, is the 38%. Do you think Mayor White has run a good campaign so far? Is he the candidate you hoped he would be?
He is the candidate I expected him to be, and he is running a campaign that I think puts him in a position to win this race. Look,
you don't share the concern of some on the left that Mayor White has not been aggressive enough in attacking Governor Perry. Jason Stanford, the campaign manager for Chris Bell, wrote a piece in the Tribune that was then followed by a piece by Bob Moser in the Texas Observer, in both cases making the same argument. Mayor White, it's time for you to kick Governor Perry in his business right now. What are you waiting for? Get going on this.
I like Jason,
but
we ain't calling Chris Bell Governor Bell right now.
Well, you can take issue with Jason Stanford. Take issue with Jason Stanford, but Bob Moser of the Observer followed it up with a very similar column, again, criticizing the White campaign for not being aggressive.
Here's part of the reason I think, a couple of things about this. Bill White, one of the reasons I like Bill White is Bill White is a very business-like candidate. He is somebody that I think when people come to know him, and it's a big old state, and it's still, what, 6 months away. And I've run statewide, as you pointed out, and I appreciate you pointing out that.
I didn't say unsuccessfully, I just noted that you ran.
They ain't calling me general today. But one of the great lessons of 2002 was it's a big old state, and it takes a long time to get well known. And as you know, Bill, while extremely and very positively well known in the Houston media market, which, by the way, is a big deal in this race, he's not as well known in the rest of the state. He is making himself known. And I think when people hear of his record and see Bill, I don't think he's going to be the kind of aggressive candidate that we all expect to see in politics where you got to bang heads together. I think what they're going to want, I think part of the fatigue that people in this state are feeling right now is they want somebody that will get involved in the details, somebody that will roll up their sleeves and spend time. I mean, that's what we need. Bill White, and I shouldn't probably say this, because I'm not sure he will fully appreciate it, but Bill White's a nerd.
Thank you for the headline of this conversation.
But that's a good thing. Bill White is going to be the kind of governor that will take the time to understand the details, and I don't think he needs to be what we all tend to think we want in these political campaigns, which is who can get the biggest headlines and be the one that bashes the other side the most. It is time in Texas we had somebody who cared about the policy, was willing to be a nerd, and was willing to immerse themselves in the answers.
But he has to get into governor's office before he can do all that. Didn't he and his campaign watch the Hutchison game films? I mean, the fact is this is setting up, is it not very similar to the way the primary set up?
I don't think so.
You don't think that he did watch the films, or you don't think they need to?
Yeah. Yeah, good point. I don't think that it's shaping up. I don't think so was, I don't think it is shaping up to be that. I think it is shaping up to be a very significant contrast between somebody who has had a highly successful record down in the city of Houston, became highly respected by people of whatever party they identified themselves with, and who cares deeply about the issues at a time when we're really going to need somebody who cares deeply about the issues.
But of course you ran as a nonpartisan mayor of a city in which you had the respect of people on both sides, and then you stepped out to run as a Democrat statewide, and it was a little bit of a different calculus.
Well, part of it is, but there's a real difference between running for governor and running for attorney general.
Well, people pay attention to the latter, or the governor, and not so much the attorney general.
And that's really the biggest difference. I mean, there were times during 2002 where I thought that I could have set myself on fire on the south steps of the Capitol, and I'd ended up in the next to last paragraph. By the way, he set himself on fire, and Greg would have said in the last paragraph, that's just like him. And we would all been high-fiving in the campaign. We made it in the story.
We got it in the second to last paragraph.
Look at us, there's my name.
Before we open it up for questions, let me ask you one thing on this subject, but a little bit to one side of it, which is to say the Democratic environment nationally. So last night, even our Republican friends in the room here may want to agree it was a good night in some ways for the Democrats that Joe Sestak, defeating Arlen Specter from the Democratic wing of the Democratic Party, got the nomination in Pennsylvania, held the John Murtha seat in Pennsylvania. Blanche Lincoln got forced into a runoff with the lieutenant governor there. To what degree is the Democratic environment going to be a factor in this race, or in all the statewide races in the fall? And if you were Bill White and Barack Obama wanted to come and campaign with you, would you be cool with it, or would you tell him to stay away?
I think it will be. I think it will be somewhat of a factor, but I don't think it will be as big a factor as it is in some of these other states. In part because it is Texas, and Texas.
Even at his peak, they didn't support the president.
Yeah, well, and Texas looks at these off-year elections or interim elections or whatever you want to call them in a different way than it looks at presidential elections. And I think Bill will have the resources, the intellect, and the ability to create a focus enough on just the governor's race that it will create the focus where it ought to be in that race.
So should the president come and campaign for Bill White?
Oh, I don't think there's any problem with that. I think
so you would advise Mayor White that it would be in his advantage to have the president.
Well, it
campaign?
will be an advantage in some instances, and it'll be a disadvantage in others. So I mean, they'll have to make. I mean, some people look. Obama is Texas is a football state, and Obama is a basketball president. Man, it's a big issue.
You just keep churning these out, aren't you?
It's a big issue. I think I don't. You know, I'm not going to. It's 6 months away. I actually think that you're going to see some changes between now and election time that will demonstrate that a lot of what Obama has been doing has made a difference. I mean, we're already seeing job growth completely different than we saw a year ago. Public opinion typically it doesn't keep up with just the creation of jobs. It takes a little while for public opinion to catch up to some of that. I think it's going to be you're going to have a different feel in late September and October than you have today even with regard to the president and Washington, D.C.
All right. Well, Senator Watson, thank you very much.
My
Great
pleasure.
to see you. Appreciate
You
your
too.
time.